Hi guys, and welcome to the update for the 10 of my Artist Way project. So in the previous video I said that I would finish to read chapter 2 and then I would give my conclusion about it. I was reading it as a sort of summary of what I have been through when I looked and watched like a lot of videos about narcissistic abuse, because it talks about those crazy making people. And I have to say, this chapter actually makes me hungry. I'm pretty mad right now. Like, I just finished this chapter and I took a little bit of time to write down stuff, and so there is a lot of things that I find extremely toxic in this chapter, which is sort of strange because it's supposed to be against toxicity. So I want to go through it with you. So first, the chapter is like talking about your own self-doubt. And basically, I've been questioning the method for a while. I'm not questioning that she helps people. I'm not questioning that she has been doing classes and teaching people how to become a better artist. For me, that's fine. I totally believe that. I totally believe that this method can work, and that's a little bit why I'm doing it actually. The thing that actually annoys the crap out of me is like, they're basically telling you that you are in recovery. I don't feel myself sick. I don't think I'm in recovery of anything. I don't think I'm even blocked. So when every time they say that, basically, according to the book, I'm delusional. I'm like a alcoholic who thinks she doesn't have a problem, basically. And no, I don't think so. Seriously, I'm very sorry, but I've been creating for a while. Maybe I'm not creating to my highest potential, which is why I actually am doing this course. But that doesn't mean I'm delusional. Having self-doubt about your own thing, not taking into, like, they talk about, the book that talks about taking other people's doubt and internalizing them and failing because of that. I agree, you shouldn't take other people's doubts, but your own doubts are something different. I'm not saying that, like, when I say I'm not sure this method works, it's not because I have an internalized doubt about my self-worth as an artist. When I say I don't need if that method works, it's because, as I say in the previous video, we only have like experiment of one. We only have the example of one person. Oh, this person did this and that happens to him and blah blah blah. No, I'm very sorry. If you are going to give me anecdotal evidence, I have the right to self-doubt. I have the right to doubt about that. Like, so yeah, when I say I don't know if this is working, it's because I haven't finished the method, I haven't been through all of it, and so of course I cannot form an informed opinion about is it working or not. So when the book is sort of calling you delusional for thinking you don't have a problem, or when the book is telling you that you're self-doubting yourself because you have a block and you're just thinking not clearly about it, it's not, I don't think it's true. I think it's a way of, it's like the Bible, okay? When the Bible say, like, people say the Bible was written by God because the Bible say it's written by God. It's like an illogical argument. It's just an argument that goes in circle. And when this book says this method works because this book says a method works, it doesn't make the method any better than any other bloody method. I mean, there is not a supernatural authority that actually is there to tell you the book is working. And unless you go through it and do it by yourself, and it works for you, it's not working. So technically, at chapter 2, saying that if you're questioning that it's working or not, it's because something is flawed with you. It's just bullshit, and it's just blaming people for no good reason. Okay, so that's the first point I wanted to go through. Second point I wanted to go through is open-mindedness and skepticism. So in the book they say we don't need you to change your belief, we just need you to re-look at them, like observe them, that kind of thing. I agree with that. If you have a belief, any belief, you have to look at them and make sure that with your new experience, with your new thing you learn in life, it's still valid. I have been doing that a lot, not just recently, I've been doing that a lot for years. When I learned something that sort of go against my own belief system, I would just, instead of just rejecting it, I would just go through my belief system and see where the flaw or the disagreement were coming from, and decide to take an idea and just see which one is the most fitted for me to be my new belief, or if the old belief can be adjusted to like have the new evidence. But that's something that is very healthy to do, and so I agree with that part of the chapter. But the other part is that I don't agree with is how they put skepticism against open-mindedness. And basically it's like when you have like atheist people and religious people. So you have two groups of people, and the religious people are going to say to the atheists that they are so close-minded because they don't believe in XYZ, and because of their skepticism basically. And the thing is, that's a very narrow-minded way of looking at things. Skepticism is not the opposite of open-mindedness. Skepticism is a seed for open-mindedness, if you use it correctly. Basically, you're going to ask yourself questions about things, you're going to question things, because open-mindedness doesn't mean you accept everything around readily. Open-mindedness means that you are going to analyze things and see what's good for you and what's bad for you. You're going to see the truth, and you're going to see what's false, you're going to see what's right, and you're going to see what's wrong. Because you start from being skeptical, and you ask yourself questions, and when you're done with that, you're going to be more open-minded, because you're actually questioning and looking for an answer about things. It's like a scientific process. You're not going to accept that every theory are correct. That's not open-mindedness. If you're open-minded, you're going to look at a theory and question it until you find the answer. Accepting things straight away is not open-mindedness. And that's what annoys me with this book. It looks like you have to accept things straight away in a way. They ask you to question, but as I said in the previous part, if you're questioning the method because you haven't tested it by yourself, you're delusional, or it's just because you're blocked, because there is a flaw inside you. No, if you're questioning the method, it's because you're an open-minded person. An open-minded person questions things. They don't accept everything, because I'm sorry, but there is a lot of garbage out there. So now just imagine, as an example of one again, right? Your friend comes and tells you that they saw today a pink flying elephant. So if you're open-minded in the way the book actually talks about open-mindedness, you're going to say, oh wow, a pink flying elephant, that's so awesome, I want to see it too, where is it? Or maybe you just say, wow, you're so lucky to have seen this very rare pink flying elephant. That's what you would do. It's kind of funny, and it's kind of cheering you up, and yeah, it's cool. Okay, that's what a believer would do, basically. A skeptical will say, no, you're talking bullshit. And an open-minded person with a skeptical but enlightened sort of person would say, okay, you're telling me that you saw with your own eyes a pink flying elephant, but I mean, elephants are gray. They are very heavy. Like you're going to check out against your belief system why you believe that an elephant is gray or sometimes white. That they are very heavy. They don't have wings. They don't have, like, even if they had wings, they would need very big wings to be able to fly because they're so heavy. The only elephant you know that ever flied was Dumbo, and that was in an anime, like a cartoon, Disney cartoon. And it was because he had overly sized ears. So do you believe straight away that the elephant, that friend of you that you really trust, that is a very good person, that is not a liar, so a pink elephant? No, you don't. Does a pink elephant exist according to your belief system? No, I'm sorry, it doesn't. Can you ever see a pink elephant? Yes, you can see a pink elephant. Dumbo is a pink flying elephant. Is a flying elephant. It could have been drawn pink. So the way is like, where did your friend? You're gonna question the reality of your friend. You're gonna say, okay, where did you see the pink elephant? Was it in a movie? Because if it's in a movie, yeah, you can put anything in a movie, including unicorn and flying elephant. So the thing is, you can believe. You just have to get more. If your friend tells you, I've seen a pink elephant flying today in the clouds outside, right now, out the balcony, I'm going to say, listen, sweetie, what did you eat today? Because it seems you're having like hallucination, right? So that's what it is to be open-minded. You're not going to dismiss the idea straight away, no matter how over the top it is. But you're going to basically question it and ask what it is against your own belief system. You're going to check out what it is against what you actually believe in, and that kind of thing. So when this book goes and tells you that if you question that, like, I wrote it down. Let me check that out. I wrote that part down. So it says, the reason we think it's weird to imagine an unseen helping hand is that we still doubt that it's okay for us to be creating. No, I'm sorry. The reason why we think it's weird to imagine an unseen helping hand is because we don't see the hand. Even if we might feel the hands, I don't think it's weird to imagine it. I think it's weird to believe in it. For me, the world is made of matter. Like a pen, for example, you have cause and effect. So basically, if I go through the work, if I work on myself, if I change my mind, if I create more, if I do the morning page and get things out of my mind, if I do the affirmation, and I get thoughts, negative thoughts coming, and I work on them to change them to make myself less frightened by them, all that kind of thing, it means I'm creating something that is going to lead ripples and help my creation, basically, help my life in general. So that's not a helping hand. That's not an invisible helping hand. That's a process of what you actually create from doing this course that is going to lead you to have a better way of going through things. It's not about some external forces that you don't see, that you don't know if it exists. An external force you have to believe in that is helping you. No, for me that's not what it is. For me it's my own work and my own process of going through the artist way. It's telling me to go through like the morning page affirmations, the negative thoughts that come, the negative memory that I work on to make myself a better person by analyzing them and making them less frightening. That's what is making the change. I'm not going to say like in the book, oh, you're doing that but it's just coincidence if X, like you're doing X and it's a coincidence if Y happen. No, I'm not going to say that because that's not true. It's not coincidence. It's cause and effect. It's a causation process. But Basically, believing it's a coincidence and believing it's the helping hand, it's the same thing. You're going to, it's still a belief. Causation and effect is also a sort of belief system. Science is a belief system in a way, because you have to believe in the rule of science that whatever you do is like, you have to believe that any cause is going to be an effect. Like if I take this piece, this is my cover of this camera basically, and if I let it down, gravity is pulling it down. And if I do it again, gravity is also going to pull it again. And the belief is that you have to believe that when you repeat something, you're going to have the same effect. So basically, if I put it down, I actually believe it's going to fall. Why do I? But the thing is, the belief is based on reality of multiple experiments that if you make something fall, it always go down. As far as I know, unless you're out of gravity, with the rule of physics we have on Earth, if you let something down, it's going to fall. If you're out of in the space and there is no gravity, if you let something down, it's going to float. But basically, it's rules. So when we say that, like when I say science is also a belief that we have rules that we have to believe. We believe that if we repeat the experiment, it's going to be the same. That's a belief, but it's so strictly going through the rule of physics that have been proven again and again that it's a very safe belief. But the thing is, if you're going to believe that you do something and something happened as a coincidence, or if you're going to believe that you did something, but what is actually helping is not you doing it. It's more like a helping hand from the universe helping you. That's where I have a limit with the belief, because cause and effect. Okay, I would say there is a higher probability that you doing the work on yourself is going to give you a result. So a helping hand is going to give you a result. And the thing is, why would the helping hand help you now that you're doing the work and not help you before you start doing the work? And that's where I would put my skepticism about that helping hand. Is like, yes, I've been helped, but was it a helping hand or was it my own doing? I would say it's my own doing because I've been the one doing the work. So that's another problem I had. But I haven't still talked about why I'm hungry about the chapter. And I'm going to get into it now. It's going to be a long video. So, I think this chapter is toxic. And I'm hungry about it because of the way it treats narcissistic abuse. You have an old part in this chapter, the one that is called crazymakers, that actually describe actions of narcissistic abuse. And the conclusion to that is that you're actually using your abuser to block yourself and your creativity. And this is really hard to swallow. First of all, I don't believe in blaming the victim. Okay, whatever you've been through with another person victimizing you, I don't believe it's your fault. I believe there are a lot of assholes around and they are going to hurt you, and it's nothing of your own making. So that's my first point. Second point is those crazy makers are seen as, okay, sorry, that's Siri. So those crazy makers are seen as people who actually do something bad to you, and you're just here and accept it. And your reaction to it is bad. Like there was this example of the girl who's like, she is having apparently an argument with her father, and she's just thinking, I hope he's not gonna have a stroke, instead of thinking, how do I get him out of my house? And I think that's kind of lacking empathy. The way it was saying, she should be thinking that she should get this monster out of her house is a total lack of empathy. And yes, it's true. She's having a fight with her father, and he's abusive. He's making her life difficult. She should actually go and no contact with the bastard. Basically, that's what if you've been a little bit going around and looking at narcissistic abuse videos, you're gonna know that going no contact is one of the best things you can do with a narcissist. But the way the book actually says that she should be thinking about getting him out of her house instead of being afraid that he might have a stroke is going against empathy in human being. And so it's not possible for anyone with a limited sense of empathy to ever think that way. In the process, like if you see someone in front of you that is being abusive to you and you don't have the detachment yet that you would have when you go through narcissistic abuse recovery, yes, you're going to be worried about that person if she's showing signs that he might actually get a stroke. And that's like saying that she should be kicking him out, like thinking how he's going to get out of her house straight away. If the person hasn't gone through narcissistic abuse recovery, that's impossible. And that's why this book is a little bit annoying me, because we're only at chapter 2. So even if people who are going through narcissistic abuse are using this book for recovery as an artist, and also it can be used as recovery as artist. Narcissistic abuse, like a lot of the writing pages in the morning and affirmation, is actually a good sign for narcissistic recovery. And blaming the victim in chapter 2 and it's kind of dismissing everything people go through. Basically, it actually says that those people should actually already been recovered of their narcissistic abuse without going through any recovery process. That they are using their abuser to stop their creative flow. And I'm sorry to say, but not everything in life has to do with your creativity. Not everything in life has to do with you blocking yourself. If you take a child who has been the child of narcissistic parents, who has been abused and being the scapegoat for most of their life, telling that person that it's their fault because they are using their abuser to block themselves and block their creativity is so unfounded. It's so uncaring. It's like it lacks empathy to the extent that it's like unbelievable. It makes me so hungry. I just can't think about it and not being hungry. I'm not even sure if I'm explaining myself correctly at this point, because I just have this big feeling of this is fucking bullshit coming up. So let's get started about narcissistic abuse. And especially I'm going to talk about if you're a child of a narcissistic parent. So all your life, what you've been through is a denial of every emotion you ever had. So all of your emotions basically are pointless compared to the emotion of your parents. And you have to, basically you become a people pleaser. You don't do anything. You've never done anything in your life for yourself. All you did was trying to get love for a parent who was unable to give you love. And you're going through this stage. Like if you're trying to recover, you're going through this stage where you're going to tell yourself, okay, you deserve love. And if they didn't give love, it wasn't because you were not worthy, because you were worthy. I think everybody is worthy of love as soon as you are born, basically, as a baby. And if your parents are narcissistic and they didn't give you love, they didn't give you, they didn't show you that your feelings were worthy, they didn't like, and you had to try to please them. You try to please them to get that love, and it never came. And you've been going through that, and now you're reading this book, and that person is telling you that you have been using your abuser to block your creativity. And the thing is, you've never known anything else since the narcissistic abuse, which means you have zero tools to know how to get out of that narcissistic abuse. That narcissistic abuse for you is normality. And basically, when you're the type of child who has been like the scapegoat, and you're going to attract people, you're going to attract narcissistic people because they know you know how to give them narcissistic supply, because you've been all your life giving those narcissistic supply to your parents. And someone who is actually supposed to teach you how to unblock yourself, telling you that it's your fault that you're blocking yourself because oh, it makes me so hungry. Because you're using your abuser. I just want to shake my head and tell you, okay, listen, bitch, shut the fuck up. Basically, when you've been through narcissistic abuse, the type of abuse that are described in this book by those crazymakers, and you have no sense of self. And I think when it's recovering a sense of identity by telling you that you are actually the one who is, that like by blaming the victim, telling you you're using your abuser is just, no, actually, when you have been through that type of narcissistic abuse, you have no sense of self. You don't know what your self is. You don't know what your self-worth is. You don't know anything about that. So, I don't even know, like I think if you have been through that, and you should go and check out Lisa Hay Romano, you should go Shrinking Violet, and there is another one I don't remember. And you need to go through that and check out those videos, because they explain way better than me narcissistic abuse. But I'm going to leave the link in the description below, so that if you have been doing that if you have been reading chapter 2 and you think of blaming yourself for the crap people pull you through, I mean, the way it read to me is like it was written by a narcissistic. That's the way it reads to me. It was written by a narcissistic who believes they're not doing anything wrong, basically, by being an asshole, because the block that you're having is just, if people are being an asshole to you, it's because you let them. And it's true, I agree, if people are being an asshole to you, it's because you let them, but it has nothing to do with you trying to block yourself as an artist. It more has to do with the fear that you have because you don't know anything else. So, the blaming the victim part of this chapter really annoyed me. Like, there was also a description about that crazy maker, apparently on a movie. The director was a crazy maker, so he has fits. He was probably a narcissistic, and like everybody around was miserable. And the thing is that example, which is at the start of the chapter, doesn't lead to the conclusion of the chapter, which is another problem I have with. So basically, that person was telling, like the writer was telling that story about that filmmaker, and the conclusion of the chapter is that you're trying to block your artist, you're using your abuser. And I was saying, okay, so basically at the start of the chapter, everybody on stage at that filmmaker production who was like miserable because of all the feet of the producer were actually trying to block something in their creative endeavor. That's why they were using this filmmaker for. So basically they're transferring the blame from the victim to the victim by saying the victim is using the narcissist. And I'm sorry to say, but if you look at, like, that's what I said, not everything is about creativity, because all the people under that filmmaker who were miserable because of what he was doing actually had a job to do. And yes, you can quit the job and find a better one, which is one solution and which is probably the best solution. But it's not doable for everyone. There are people who have children, there are people who have loan to pay, there are people who are taking care of elderly parents, there are people who have a lot of reason not to quit their job straight away because they are having an abusive boss. So telling them that they are using the abusive boss to undermine the creative endeavor, yeah, it's true. It's true in the sense that they are not being their best. They are not being in the best environment, and they could get out of that environment if they really wanted to. But there are a lot of things that makes it impossible for them, and it's not just them trying to block themselves. It also has to do with circumstances around. And I think this chapter is missing a big point here by actually telling people that everything comes from inside of them. It's true that there is a lot you can work on yourself to make your life better. There is a lot of decisions you can make to make your life better as personal decision. For example, if you get up in the morning and brush your teeth, you're going to have a better health of your teeth. And that's something you can do. But if you don't have money to get toothpaste, you can just brush your teeth with water. And if you have no money to get a toothbrush, you can just brush your teeth with your finger. See, yeah, baby steps. That this book doesn't give baby steps. These books actually tell you that if you cannot brush your teeth in the morning, it's your own fault. And it doesn't take into account that you have a lot of steps to go through. First, you need to have money for the brush, and then you need to have money for the toothpaste, and then you need to create a habit. This book is basically about creating the habit. All the things before, you have to work it through by yourself. So it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult for me to believe that it works. It makes it easy for me to see why a lot of people would be doing it over and over and over again. Because do everyone ever reach the point where they just have to create a habit? Are there people out there who just have to say to themselves, okay, I just need to think in the morning that I need to brush my teeth. I'm going to put the toothbrush and the toothpaste in evidence so that I'm going to brush my teeth in the morning. I don't know. Like, especially for bigger thing, like, I mean, the toothbrush example is very small because most people have brush on toothpaste. But especially if they're like having this book, I mean, you would buy the toothbrush and the toothpaste before you buy this book, I guess. But for people, like telling people that they're using their abuser, yeah, they do, but only when they actually are at the late stage of recovery from narcissistic abuse. You have to go through the whole process of regaining yourself as a person, of changing your values, of analyzing what, instead of taking to heart what the person is going to say to you, you have to analyze it and believe in your analyzation of it. And that it's nothing to do with you, it's about them. You have to understand that the narcissistic is projecting. You have to understand, like, it's just so big, you know, and like, calling this chapter Recovery a Sense of Identity by blaming narcissistic abuse victim is not, it doesn't sit right with me. It just so yeah, this chapter made me hungry. So the only part of this chapter that I actually like is the part about attention. That's the last part of this chapter, when they tell you to pay attention to the world and that everything is going to be better if you pay attention to the world. And that's actually helping because it makes you live in the moment. And living in the moment instead of like, there is 3 different stages of thought. Basically, if you think about the past all the time, it's depression. If you think about the future all the time, it's anxiety. And if you live in the present, you're okay. And living in the present can be hard. You want to project your future, you want to give idea what are you gonna do later, you want to remember your good memory. When you do the affirmation, you actually dig up past memory. So there is a little bit of contradiction between affirmation, digging up the old memory, digging up everything, and living in the present. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to say, okay, I'm going to do the affirmation and go in the past, and then I'm going to enjoy my day and check out all the little things. Because when you truly want to recover, looking at the present, being in the present is probably the best thing you can do. It stops the rumination of thought that is actually making you nuts. Like, it's you making yourself nuts. And it's a very good advice. So the last part of the chapter, so from page 52 to the end, basically, it's a very good chapter. It's a very good part of the chapter. If you only remember one thing about the chapter, if you want to just forget about the narcissistic abuse and the crazy maker parts, because unless you recover from your narcissistic abuse, you're not going to get anything good from that. Or it might kick you into trying to recover from your narcissistic abuse. It might. It might. But the attention part is really good. Look at the details, notice the little things, and especially, I would say, notice the little thing other people do for you. If your spouse or your kids or are like doing the laundry, cleaning, I know a lot of people have a spouse and a lot of people are married, and you do the cleaning, you do the laundry, you wash the dishes, you hoover, you do the bed in the morning, you do all the kind of thing, and you never get a thank you for that. And if your spouse is doing any other things, you can say thanks every single time. If it's something that like, one of the advice I would say is like, thanks people. If people are doing even the smallest little thing, if people are giving you a compliment, thank them. If people are washing the dishes, thank them. They don't have to. I mean, if my husband is going to cook, I say thank you for cooking. If I'm cooking, he's going to say thank you for cooking. When he comes back home and he sees that I did the dishes, I did the laundry, he's going to say thank you for doing the dishes, or thank you for taking care of the laundry. He's going to say thank you, and I'm going to say thank you too. And I think it's appreciation is a good way to go through your day. So appreciate the sunlight going through the window, appreciate all the little things. This chapter, like this part, attention, is a really good things. Like, you have to look at it and appreciate it, the little things. Or if it's bullshit, you just don't appreciate it, you just like get mad at it, just like I get mad at this chapter. It's also okay. Any kind of feeling shouldn't stay stuck inside you. You have to go through the feeling and present, and make sure you're okay with them, that they don't stay stuck and block you, right? So anyway, guys, that was a long video, so I hope you enjoyed. And if you're reading the chapter and you totally disagree with me, it's fine. I don't care if people agree or disagree. I just have my own thought. I'm going to leave the link to other people for the narcissistic abuse video down below, just in case, because I think it's, if you have been a victim of a narcissist, you might not even know about it, which sounds crazy, but it's true. There's a lot to learn about that. So yeah, I wasn't really pleased with the way this part was treated. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to go through the tasks and see what I can get out of that. There is 10 tasks again. So yeah, I'm just going to continue my morning page, maybe some affirmation, and just do the task for the rest of the week, and we'll see what happens. So see you tomorrow for the new Artisoy video if you're following this series. And hopefully I'll also try to get other type of video on this channel really soon. I've been thinking of book review, but I haven't got into it yet, so I'm kind of afraid. I don't know how to do it. Yeah, because it might be really long too. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoy, and see you next time for something else. Have fun whatever you're reading. Bye!